Well, good morning. My name is Eric Roberts. I'm a battalion chief for the Los Angeles City Fire Department in the planning section in the Office of the Fire Chief, and I'd like to welcome you to Frank Hotchkin's Memorial Training Center. This is the largest annual 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony on the West Coast. We're pausing on this date together 23 years later to remember those killed in the 2001 terrorist attacks in our country, and to commemorate the brave and heroic sacrifices of all first responders. We're proud to say that your LA City Fire Department deployed 70 members as part of California Task Force 1 and 23 additional members as a critical incident stress management team who worked tirelessly alongside Fire Department of New York, FDNY, and the search and rescue effort in the immediate aftermath of the World Trade Center collapse. We ask all members present here today who were deployed to the New York City immediately after 9/11 to please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your service. To begin the ceremony, we will have the presentation of colors by the LAFD Honor Guard, accompanied on bagpipes by the LAFD Pipes and Drums, along with the Los Angeles Police Emerald Society. Please stand. And now for the singing of our national anthem, firefighter Dennis Rodriguez.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home
And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to invite up the President of the United Firefighters of Los Angeles, our Local 112, President Freddie Escobar.
Want to start off by thanking the men and women who have served and are serving our country to allow us to do this in this great nation of ours. Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah and Semper Fi.
Thank you, President Escobar. And once more, please remain standing for the invocation given by our LAFD chaplain, George Negretti.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for making time in your schedule to remember such a special event in our history. Please bow with me, if you're comfortable, for a word of prayer. Father God, I thank you for this day, this beautiful day that you've given us, the 23 years that we've remained and continue to live life with our loved ones. We do remember those that have given their lives, those whose lives were taken, their families. We think of the East Coast right now and their loss, but we focus today on the dedication, commitment, sacrifice, and service that was given by many that day, many more than we know, stopped in the midst of chaos to respond in compassion and love, and many gave their lives. So today, help us to celebrate the good, to remember the good, and to be challenged by it, to do the same. Thank you for this time. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Negretti. At this time, I'd like you to invite to take your seats, and we're going to take a moment to acknowledge our many wonderful guests that have taken time and have joined us this morning. As your name is called, please rise so the crowd can see you, and I'd ask the crowd respectfully to please refrain from applause until all names are announced. First off, I'd like to acknowledge the Mayor of the City of Los Angeles, Karen Bass. We have several LA City Council members here. The President of the City Council for Los Angeles, Paul Krikorian, is here. We also have Council Member Tracy Park, Monica Rodriguez, John Lee, Eunices Hernandez, Katie Yaroslavsky, Kevin DeLeon, and Tim McCosker. The City Attorney, Heidi Feldstein Soto, is here, as well as California State Senator Caroline Mejivar and Maria Elena Durazo. On the sworn side of the House, we have Los Angeles City Fire Chief Kristin M. Crowley. We have the Los Angeles City Police Department Interim Chief of Police Dominic Choi. We have the California Highway Patrol Southern Division Chief, Chris Magaris. We have the CAL FIRE Southern Region Chief, Dave Fulcher. The Anaheim Fire Chief is here, Pat Russell. The Compton Fire Chief, Ron Simpson. The Glendale Fire Department Acting Fire Chief, Greg Fish. And the Los Angeles Airport Police Department Chief of Police, Cecil W. Rombo Jr. Additionally, I'd also like to welcome the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety, Brian Williams. The City of San Fernando Vice Mayor, Mary Mendoza, and Councilmember Victoria Garcia. The Los Angeles City sent two of their general managers from the Emergency Management Department. We have Carol Parks, as well as from the Department of City Planning, Vince Bertoni. Your Board of Fire Commissioners are here. The President of the LA City Fire Department Board of Fire Commissioners, President Janethia Hudley Hayes. Further Fire Commissioners Jimmy Woods Gray, Jimmy Hara, and Kareem Babcock are here. We have several commissioners from the Los Angeles Police Department. We have the President of the Commission, Dr. Earl G. Suthers, as well as Rasha Gurgis Shields and Mary Lou Kalanch. Lastly, we'd like to recognize the abundance, as you look around, the abundance of esteemed command staff from the fire service broadly, law enforcement, and the military. At this time, please acknowledge them with a large round of applause. Thank you. At this time, it is my pleasure to welcome the Mayor of the City of Los Angeles, Karen Bass.
Good morning, everyone. To Chief Crowley, thank you for all that you do to keep Angelenos safe. From extreme weather events to extinguishing fires across the city, we thank you and the thousands of firefighters who work hard every day. And I want to thank the incoming recruits. I want you to know that we're proud of you and we're counting on you. To Los Angeles Police Chief Dominic Choi, I thank you, and then to the thousands of police officers who every day put their lives on the line to make us safe. Since 2002, this ceremony has allowed all of us to gather and honor the memory of those lost and also salute the bravery of those who responded in the face of tragedy. On this day 23 years ago, and it's hard to believe it's 23 years, the unimaginable happened. Each of us recalls where we were when the news broke. In the days and weeks that followed, many, including the courageous members of the Los Angeles Fire Department, rose to serve our country. Just hours after the attacks, members of the LAFD Urban Search and Rescue Task Force mobilized, heading to Ground Zero with one mission in mind: to serve. With no clear sense of what awaited them, they boarded a plane from March Air Force Base to New Jersey. Upon arriving, they sifted through rubble, searched for the missing, and provided relief to their fellow firefighters in New York, giving them the chance to be with their families during a devastating time. I was in New York a week after the attacks, and the World Trade Center was still smoking. And I saw a lot of our first responders there as they went through the rubble, looking and hoping to rescue someone, and coming to grips with the fact that there was no one to rescue. Amidst that darkness, the light of compassion broke through. Today, we honor those whose lives were tragically cut short, and we hold close the families who still grieve. But we must also remember the heroes who ran toward the danger. They sacrificed to help rebuild, to restore hope, and to light a path forward. Compassion and love are defining elements of the spirit of Los Angeles. These values drive our first responders to answer the call, whether here at home or across the globe, without hesitation. As we conclude, I want to share a message with the first responders gathered here today. On behalf of 4 million Angelenos, we thank you. We thank you for your unwavering dedication, for the impact that you make every day, and for your readiness to serve no matter the cost. We honor you, and we are forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Bass. It's now my pleasure to call up the Fire Chief of the Los Angeles City Fire Department, Kristin M. Crowley.
Well, good morning, everyone. And I tell you, I just want to take just a small moment to just take this moment in I want to welcome you to a very, very special place. We call this Frank's Place. This is our Frank Hotchkin's Memorial Training Center, and if you didn't know, September 27th, 1980, we lost one of our very own, Frank Hotchkin, who fell through that roof fighting a fire. That's a constant reminder as we come together as a region with our first responders. We come here to Frank's Place to train together, to make sure that we're ready to respond to whatever comes our city's way, whatever comes our region's way, and whatever comes our state's way. So I'd be remiss if I did not mention that, as well as taking a moment to recognize our first responders, our partners, our law enforcement, our military, our firefighters, our paramedics. As you see, the sea of our sworn members over here and our civilian members that make up our first responder family. And I tell you, if I'm asked, and you ask me today, are we ready? I can tell you we are ready to respond to anything that comes our way. So if we could just take a moment to recognize our first responders, our incredible partners that we work with, that come to work each and every day to save lives and property. And thank you to everybody that's up there and in the crowd that chose to serve others before self. And I'm extremely proud of our LAFD members and what you're able to do each and every day. In fact, I'm in awe of what I hear of what we're able to accomplish. So with that, as we know, today we gather in a solemn remembrance of a day that forever changed our nation and the world. We come together as a community, and this is our community, and take purposeful action to fulfill our ongoing pledge and commitment to all of our fallen heroes. And that is those special words to never, ever forget. 23 years ago, 2,977 lives from 93 nations were lost in one of the darkest moments in our nation's history. And let me be even more exact, and there's a reason for this, because this is part of us ensuring that we never forget. 2,753 from Ground Zero. 184 were killed at the Pentagon. 40 people were killed as heroic passengers that stopped and spoiled the hijackers' plans on Flight 93. Now, these were innocent lives of men, women, and children, each with their own story, their own dreams, and their own loved ones and family members that were left behind. But today, we're not only honoring those we lost, we're also here to pay an extreme tribute to the heroes who ran towards danger to evacuate the victims, and in the end of it, they saved countless lives. Now, we all take a deep breath and try to understand or even imagine for a moment what it was going through those minds of those first responders on that fateful day. We can't even imagine that. But I was able to find some of those first responders, their actual words, and I wanted to share a few of those with you. This was Chief Peter Gansey Jr., FDNY, Chief of the department. He was the highest ranking uniformed firefighter killed in the collapse. These are his words, and I quote, "We're not leaving, we're here to save lives." This was reported to be his last words before the collapse of the South Tower. John Morabito, FDNY, firefighter, ladder 10. "The scene was chaos, but we were focused. People were running down the stairs, and we were heading up. I remember looking into their eyes, and I will never forget the fear and relief. We did what we could, but no training could have prepared us for that particular day. We fought to save lives, and I am proud of the men and women who did their duty that day." Chief Sal Cassiano, former FDNY Commissioner and Chief of Operations on 9/11. "We were unprepared for the devastation of that day, but not for the duty. Our training kicked in, our hearts took over, and every man and woman in the department gave everything they had to save lives. The bravery I witnessed that day is something that I will never forget." And lastly, Chief Joseph Pfizer, Battalion Chief of Battalion 1, 1st FDNY Chief on the scene of the World Trade Center. "We were the first fire company into the towers, and I remember looking up at the fire. We knew we had to act quickly. The towers were already compromised. We were fighting a battle we had never trained for, but the instinct to save lives kicked in. The day changed me forever, but the bravery and sacrifice of my brothers will always stand as a testament to what it means to be a firefighter. So today, let us honor and remember the 343 FDNY firefighters and paramedics. Let us honor and remember the 23 officers of the NYPD, and let us honor and remember the 37 Port Authority police officers who made the ultimate sacrifice that day, saving and evacuating thousands from the Twin Towers. Their bravery remains an inspiration to all of us, and even more so of those who chose to serve. Now we also honor, as we take a big step back from that fateful day, the 370 additional FDNY firefighters, paramedics, and civilian support staff who have since died from illnesses related from their selfless rescue and recovery efforts. These heroes worked tirelessly in the aftermath of the attacks, breathing in the dust and debris that filled the air, unaware of the toll that it would take on their health from back then to even today. And sadly, as we know, the toll continues to grow. More than 4,343 first responders, men and women who answered the call on 9/11 and in the weeks and months that followed, have passed away due to health complications stemming from their exposure to hazardous conditions during the rescue, recovery, and cleanup operations. And let me be clear, and I think everybody else feels this way, their legacy is not only one of service, but of extreme sacrifice long after the dust of the towers has settled. Now, I share these numbers with all of you here to commemorate and honor the lives that were lost, to acknowledge the sacrifices made, and to reinforce the values, and you've heard this word a few times, duty, courage, unity, and resilience that first responders demonstrated on that fateful day. So today, we honor all of them. We remember their bravery, we remember their dedication and their sacrifice, and we vow as a nation to never, ever forget. Now behind me, this section of the World Trade Center will serve as an ongoing tribute to those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and it is a true symbol of the resilience of our city and our great nation. So as I humbly stand before you, representing the men and women of the LAFD, we collectively renew our commitment and solemnly vow to never forget 9/11 and the heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice. God bless all of you here, God bless our nation, and God bless the men and women of the LAFD. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chief Crowley. At this time, I'd like you to join me by welcoming the Interim Chief of Police for the Los Angeles Police Department, Dominic Choi.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here as we gather to honor and remember all those lives lost on September 11, 2001. I want to thank Chief Crowley and LAFD for hosting this each year. It's so important, and as she mentioned, that we need to never forget. And it's tough to always remind each other of the losses that occurred on that tragic day, but again, we owe it to those that gave their lives, that continue to give their lives on that day to save lives. And again, as mentioned by the mayor, it's hard to believe that this tragedy occurred 23 years ago. It seems like it was just last year. And like many of you, I remember exactly what I was doing that morning. I woke up, I was at home, turned on the news, and it was like I was watching a movie. It was surreal. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And as I continued to watch, my heart sank, and that pain, that loss became so real for me. It's just an incredible feeling that will never go away. So after 23 years, the pain and the loss of those 3,000 innocent lives still weighs heavy on all of our hearts. So on behalf of the Los Angeles Police Department, I want to personally offer my deepest condolences to the families who have carried that loss for all these years. Today we come together not just to remember those that were taken from us, innocent men, women, children, but also to honor those that have passed since that tragic day from illnesses derived from trying to help and save others. We especially want to honor the 412 first responders, including 343 firefighters, 60 police officers who ran into danger without hesitation to save others. Their bravery is part of this day and will always carry their memory with us. And even though these attacks occurred far from Los Angeles, we all know that they deeply affected this city, this nation, and the world. The images and stories of that day are still etched in our minds, reminding us not only of the horror, but also of the incredible acts of heroism that rose from that chaos. One of the stories that stick in my mind, even though there's hundreds, if not thousands of heroic stories, is that of a New York police officer named Maura Smith. She was one of the first officers that responded to the World Trade Center once the first plane hit. And amid the confusion and the terror, Officer Smith guided countless people out of the buildings. She kept going back, even though she knew the danger that she faced. Officer Smith died when the South Tower collapsed, but the bravery and selflessness that she showed continues to inspire so many of us, especially those of us in law enforcement and our first responders. And as we reflect on her story and so many others, we're reminded of the extraordinary courage and compassion that arose from this devastation. The acts of heroism were not limited to law enforcement, firefighters, or paramedics. Every day, people became extraordinary in that moment of terror, helping strangers, comforting the injured, and refusing to let the fear stop them. In their memory and honor, it's my hope that we continue to share these stories. As these years pass, we have the responsibility to keep these stories alive for our future generations, so they too can understand the depth of sacrifice and the strength of the human spirit. The men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department are proud to carry on the legacy of those heroes continuing to do the work that they can no longer do. We remain steadfast in our commitment to protecting and serving, inspired by the example and driven by the duty they all shared and that we all share. Thank you. May we always remember the courage, the compassion, and sacrifice of that fateful day. God bless all of you here today. God bless our first responders. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Choi. As a tribute to the immense courage, commitment, and sacrifice of those involved in the September 11th, 2001 terror attacks, the LAFD proudly raised this impressive memorial in 2003. A dedicated volunteer team brought in this 23-ton steel column from the very base of the World Trade Center. This approximately 22-foot tall column, a distinctive part of the original lobby structure, was graciously donated by Dr. Jeffrey New. It stands today as the largest remnant of the attacks outside of New York City. Let's honor the incredible efforts behind this powerful symbol with a round of applause. In the days after 9/11, one phrase was heard over and over, a phrase my fire chief and the chief of police also mentioned: never forget. We gather here every year because we have not forgotten that simple phrase. A few people in particular have taken it upon themselves to ensure that we never forget. LAPD Officer Joe Cerrito honors his late friend Dominic Choi of the New York Port Authority with an annual 9/11 workout at the Olympic Division. This year, he took on a 24-hour remembrance workout, and we are pleased to announce that the members of the LAFD Fire Station 13, would you please stand at this time, joined him in the morning and ran here to the ceremony with a motor escort, along with a predetermined 4-mile route. Officer Cerrito, we applaud your efforts. You may be seated, thank you. Additionally, in front of this memorial stands a storyboard that documents the tragic events of 9/11 and how a symbol of the fallen World Trade Center came to this spot. A man named Gene Prindle has generously contributed to its design, construction, and upkeep. We also sincerely thank retired Chief Dave Baggett and Jerry Budnick for their dedication to the LAFD 9/11 monument and maintaining its grounds. Your sacrifices and commitment will ensure that we never forget. We now enter a solemn portion of our program. I'd like to invite the members involved in the wreath ceremony up to the side of the stage over here. Los Angeles City Fire Chief Kristin Crowley, Interim Los Angeles Chief of Police Dominic Choi, representing the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department, the Under Sheriff April Tardy, California Highway Patrol Commander Chris Magaris, UFLAC President Local 112 Freddie Escobar, and Council Member President Paul Precorian and Council Member Monica Rodriguez. Please place these beautiful flower arrangements at the base of the memorial. After today's ceremony, I'd like all of you personally to come up and take a close look at this massive piece of the World Trade Center, touch the steel, feel its power, and examine the impressive storyboard. Members of the wreath detail, you may now be seated. Thank you. Chief Crowley and Chief Choi, would you please join me on stage? Chief Crowley and Chief Choi can join me on stage for the bell ceremony. The fire service is ever-changing, but it's steeped in traditions that are often over 200 years old. One of our traditions is the tradition of the sound of a bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizens. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled completion of that call. In the fire service, we have an even more somber tradition when a firefighter has died in the line of duty, paying the ultimate sacrifice. It was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. We use these traditions as symbols which reflect honor and respect on those who have given so much and have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls for their duty, a special signal of 10 tolls of the bell represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning eternally to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow man, their tasks completed, their duties well done. To our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home. The Los Angeles City Fire Chief, Chief Crowley, with the assistance of Interim Los Angeles Chief of Police Choi, will perform this symbolic task.